and make you just feel why America is an exceptional nation. There's several things I want to talk to you today about. So here's what I want to tell you. Factually, I'm going to make the case why America is an exceptional nation. Not my opinion, facts. I'm also going to talk to you, not go all Al Gore on you, but I'm going to talk to you about why there are two Americas. So why is an Irishman standing here right now talking to you about America? Well, I think it's important to start with my story. So I grew up in Ireland, and because of Ireland has a great history of sending people to America and immigrating. So it was the same with my family. My grandmother's siblings went over to America, got the American dream, had kids. I was very blessed in the late 80s, early 90s as a 7 or 8 year old boy. If you can picture a young boy who never really left Ireland, it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable, we all talk the same, we eat the same food. It's all kind of boring and bland. And then you send this young boy over to America, where I went to Tampa, Florida, better weather, beautiful women, gorgeous accents, a lot of great food, different sports, different cultures. And then as I started to travel your country, as you know, it's so diverse. As a young boy, I fell in love with your country. There is a two Americas. That's the first one, the country. And the people. Your people are inspiring. Your people are different to the rest of the world. What do I mean by that? You're more optimistic. You have this can-do attitude. You don't look to someone else and say, you should do this, or this is your job, or this is your responsibility. You always did it. Other people will always go, I can't do that. I don't come from the right background. I don't have the right education. I don't have the right experience. I don't come from the right part of town. I can't do that. I can't achieve that. Americans traditionally don't have that. So I fell in love with this optimistic, can-do attitude, this kind of American dream of possibilities. I fell in love with your country. I fell in love with your people. Then, if you transport me going to the late 90s, early 2000s, the great thing was invented, called the internet. So I fell in love with your country and your people, but then as the internet became available, and I was always that annoying kid, everyone knows them, where they tell you how life is, and I'd be like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't make sense to me, and I'd annoy everyone, because everyone would go, okay, Jonathan, you're such a genius, well, what is the right answer? You're always saying that's not right. What is the answer? So through my own initiative, through my self-taught, through my curiosity, I started exploring America. Started exploring the country I love, that country I want to be part of, the country I wanted to say. I said as a 7 or 8 year old boy, I'm going to live there, which didn't exactly excite my parents. It was like, what? But I started studying your Constitution. I started studying your Declaration of Independence. I started reading the writings of great men like John Locke, like George Washington, like John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. And I fell in love with the second America, the idea of America. The idea I want to be part of. And this is where I want to talk to you about why you're an exceptional nation. Because you do certain things that your founders set up that are quintessentially different to every other nation that has ever existed and that exists today. What are they? Well, it starts with the first one, life. You appreciate life. Not only do you appreciate it, you say it's a God-given right. It's the first one. Before they talk about anything else about liberty and freedoms and government, they said you have a right to life. Ireland, Europe, life is disposable. If you don't come from the right background, you don't come from the right class, you're seeing it. Just your disposable. You don't matter. You can't make a difference. It's dehumanized. You're just a number. You're seeing this start to infiltrate in America, and it's happened over and over and over again. You see it with abortion. Here we are in 2019, Planned Parenthood is still funded. Not only what does it take to shut down Planned Parenthood, you had people go in undercover where they actually had meetings, and they showed these meetings of where they're harvesting baby parts and selling them. Yet right now, 2019, it's still funded. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who has control, left, right, Republican, Democrats, still funded, still going on, still has a bright future. You're starting to see how the arguments have changed around life. I apologize if this offends anyone, but I'm not sorry. I'm vehemently pro-life. Because here's the reason I am pro-life. Because each of you has a purpose. I don't know what your purpose is, but you have a purpose in life. You're unique. You are created as an individual. You, sir, there is no one like you. No matter how many of you might have similar characteristics, you might vote the same way, you might even like the same sports teams, the same food, but there's something inside you that is even slightly different than everyone else. Every one of you has that gift. You're starting to see that be changed. where you're starting to go, you know what? It doesn't matter. You're seeing this in horrific bills in New York, where they're like, you know what? Yeah, baby come out of the womb, doesn't matter, let's kill it. 10 years ago when I was involved in these debates, I'd always get picked up, because people would think they won the debates off me. I don't think they did. Where they'd go, well, all life is precious. Yeah, but what about rape and incest? And then people would go, oh yeah, I suppose that has a point. I'd be like arguing the other case. Now they don't even do that. I cannot tell you the last time I had a pro-life debate with someone where rape and incest was even discussed. I have debates with my Republican friends, and I don't understand this logic where they go, John, look, I agree with you on life, but I'm not as extreme as you. 20 weeks, the mother has a right to choose. I can't get over the understanding of this where, what happens in that one split second? What happens there? 19 weeks, 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds, totally fine. In that split second, it goes from totally fine to, I don't think you should be allowed to do that. That split second, what happens? It's about emotions, it's not about principles. All life has purpose. But you're starting to see this in Europe on the other side, because everyone thinks today pro-life is abortion. Abortion is a small part of it. You're starting to see this with euthanasia. Oh, you're too old. Yeah, you're costing the government too much money. It's just better if you die. That great Irish playwright who everyone told me growing up, I have to love. He's so talented. I call him a piece of crap, and that's been very polite. George Bernard Shaw, who, if you ever see it, ever heard of him, he was the one who said, "Sir, would you justify your existence?" That's what the attitude is. But you're also starting to see it creep into other issues I've been helping fight behind the scenes. People like Alfie, baby Alfie in England. You saw it last week in America, in Arizona, with David Rees, who they said, you know what, he's brain dead, let's kill him. Let's just kill him, and sadly they did. The way they killed baby Alfie, the way they killed Charlie Garth, the way they're killing other people. Life is not precious. Life is a gift and we must stand for it. That is one reason why America is exceptional. Second reason, where your rights come from. You can take any other country in the history of the world, they will say your rights come from the government, from the people who hold power. If that person happens to be a king, a dictator, a government, a president, doesn't matter. They come from your government. Or they come from the people like Ireland, where we have a referendum system, where we became such a proud progressive nation about 6-9 months ago because we said abortion's okay. Usually in a referendum, about 50, depending on the issue, 50 and 60% of the population votes. And all you need to do to carry that issue is to get 50% plus one person. So effectively, 30% of the people decide the rights. I don't know about you, but I don't want that decision where my rights are up for discussion. My rights are not up for discussion, or not up for debate, and they sure as hell ain't going to be decided by 30% of the population, whether I like it or whether I dislike it. Your America said, you know what? Rights don't come from government or from man, they come from your creator, from God, whichever you want to believe. If you want to happen to believe that this bottle of Gatorade is your creator, and that's great, you can do that. Your rights come from there. That is the beauty of it. The next difference between America and the rest of the world is a situation where, who do you believe in? Are you an individual or are you a collective? Do you believe in the individual, where you judge persons by the content of their character? Historically, America said yes. They said all men are created equal. They spoke about God-given rights for the individual, not for the collective. They weren't people who wrote the Magna Carta who said all free men are created equal. No, they said all men. They believed in the individual, that individualistic spirit. Where I come from, I'm just part of a label. Oh, I'm middle class. I reject that. Or I am white. I reject that. Or I'm bald, or I'm fat. Or I come from the city, or I live in the city but I'm a country boy. They judge you by all these labels. What makes America different is the idea that you are allowed to pursue your happiness. You're not guaranteed happiness, you have a God-given right to pursue it. That is the great thing about individualism. Y'all can be different. You can be a farmer. If you want to continue on your family legacy, continue on that family-owned farm that's been in your family for 100 years, go for it. You want to go off to school and be a doctor or a lawyer, go for it. You want to be a stay-at-home mom, go for it. Whatever it is that you are passionate about, you have a God-given right to say it and follow it. Historically, where we come from, if you don't come from the right family or the right background, or you don't have the right education, you can't do it. The first lesson I remember being taught by my parents should frighten the crap out of you. This is European, and this is common. It didn't frighten me at the time, I just didn't know any better. But as I look back, they taught this as consistency. Son, it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know. Just think about that. That's what we teach our kids over there. In America, you have more rags to riches stories because you say, you know, it doesn't matter. Screw it. I don't come from the right family. Nothing stopping me, baby. I have a right to pursue my happiness. But also the individual aspect where if you pursue your happiness and you're successful, you have the God-given right to keep the fruits of your labor. That is what you do. Over where I come from, under democracy, which is so wonderful, with so many people over here seem to love right now, if a party in Ireland decides we're going to run and we're going to tax 100% of your wealth over $100,000 because you don't really need more than $100,000, that's selfish, and they win, guess what? They do it. America said you are allowed to keep the passions and keep the fruits of your labor. Then it starts getting into the cultural differences. Over in Ireland, and you're starting to see all these creep into America, politicians have created this myth through the media. And you see this over here right now on both sides of the aisle. You need me. Your issue? You need me. You need me fighting your corner. Whether it's taxes, whether it's the wall, whether it's abortion, you need me. Whether it's homelessness, whether it's drugs, you need me in DC. You need me. You can't do it by yourself. Historically, America said, you know what? No, we don't. We'll do it ourselves. And it's infecting other parts where it shouldn't. In Ireland right now, we have a crisis. It is an issue, but it's blown out of proportion of homelessness. Even the Catholic Church is saying, why isn't the government doing more about homelessness? I feel like saying to the Catholic Church, and I do regularly, which makes me really popular. You all read the Bible, don't remember Jesus going, well, what did Caesar do, and what did Pilate? Where's Pilate fixing all these issues? I don't ever remember, maybe I missed that book in the Bible, I don't know. Maybe it exists somewhere. I don't ever remember that, but America was based on, you don't need anyone. You go do it yourself. You see a need in society, go help it. That's historically what you've done. You do it each and every time. Then you start getting into the levels of government, how your government is different factually to every other nation. Every other nation, when it was founded, said, you know what? We're going to have a head of government. Whether that's a dictator, whether it's a king, whether it's a president, you name the title. They went, I want all these powers. I want to do all this. This is my little baby here. And then the people underneath them went, you know what? That's cool. You have all this. We'll have this. And then maybe little, you know, as I say, Obama used to say trickle-down economics. I call it trickle-down government. The people at the bottom, whatever was trickle-down, the little crumbs, they said at local government, we will do. Every nation was set up under that premise. America is different. Your Constitution, I know you don't really follow it anymore. You violate it on a daily basis. You just did it this week by both sides. Your America was different because you said, no, power isn't top-down. You didn't form the United States and go, what will we do? Power was bottom up. Power was your 13 colonies coming together and going, you know what? We believe in federalism because your founders were not dumb. This logic out there, this myth that's going around. Your founders are some of the most, to this day, were some of the most well-read men. They looked at ancient Rome. They looked at ancient Greece. They looked at Europe. They looked at France and go, what did they do and how can we improve upon it? And they formed the Constitution, where they had Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, where there's 18 clauses in there. That's what government can do. They set up a legislature where all powers should be vested in Congress. And then they had a figurehead at Article 2, which is the presidency, that does nothing. You do not want a king. In fact, if you go read the history of the Constitutional Convention, Alexander Hamilton made a proposal when you won that we should have a king. Guess what happened to him? He was ignored for about 6 months because they were like, whoa, I don't want to do anything to do with that guy. We just left the king. We don't even want a king in name. You had the presidency. I know everyone says today, well, the president, regardless of who it is the most powerful man in the world. If you understand the history of your founding, the reason he's called the president is because it was the lowest title they could think of. You know, if you could think of a modern day title, it'd be the gopher, you know, the person who does nothing. That's what the presidency was. But then you had this system where you had Article 1, Section 8, you had Article 2. Everything else is left to the states. Because the states came together and gave the federal government power, not the other way around. Then you start getting into other parts of the government. In Ireland, and it's historically true as well, if you want, everyone loves talking about World War II, which is great. Everything that everyone wants to talk about Hitler being a bad guy. The most terrifying part of Hitler is never ever discussed. Everything Hitler did was illegal. The same happens in Ireland. If a party came to prominence tomorrow in Ireland and said, you know what, because this is a common theme, because this is what history repeats itself, going, you know, we have a lot of problems in Ireland. I know what it is. It's those damn pesky Jews. Let's kill them all. Under the legislation, if they win elections, they can do it. If that's all they run, and they didn't have a tax policy, didn't have an environmental policy, didn't have a healthcare policy, they just said it's the Jews' fault, we need to get rid of them out of Ireland. Let's say not even kill them. Just, they're going to deport them all out of the country, just because you're Jewish. There's very little Ireland, the Irish Constitution says to stop it. In England, it's the exact same thing. Because there are no limits in government. In America, it's the exact opposite. There are extreme limits in government. Because your Constitution and the Declaration of Independence says it's not government's job to give you rights, it's to protect your rights because you're born with them. That is the fundamental difference. But then adding on top of that, in Ireland, in Europe, and around the world, and historically, we always make men gods. You're doing it today with your politicians. You're making them gods. They are not. They are mere flesh and blood. They are not the moral arbiters of society. They are not someone who knows life better than you. Trust me, I've met a lot of your politicians behind the scenes. They're no more special than you. In fact, I would say in Congress, and this is not, I don't get political, I would say it on both sides, you would have a better job and more chance of success in following the Constitution if we went out there and just said, hey, the first 534 people stand up, or you want to get a phone book and just literally go, you would have more chance of success. But then it gets to the cultural issue. Historically, our culture tears people down. That's what we want to do. Oh, you've gotten too big for your britches, pull you down. You're too successful. You're allowed a certain amount of success, but you get too successful, we'll tear you down. America's the exact opposite. You don't seek to historically tear people down. You're the country that says, yeah, go do it. You want to change the world? Go do it. Enjoy it. You have a right to pursue your happiness. These are factually why America is the quintessential difference. So let's name these people. I haven't got a whiteboard here, but if you imagine this, I was asked one time a couple of years ago, someone said to me, you know, it's key to tell stories, and also you can tell great stories through artwork. Would you do me a favour? Would you, if you could paint the history of the world, would you paint a picture for me? I thought about it. How the hell do you paint the history of the world? The picture. I went, there's so much. What do you focus on? How do you get everything in? And I thought about it, and then I just all of a sudden had an idea. If I had to paint a picture of the world, there'd be two big circles. One circle would have loads and loads of dots. And the other circle would have one. Let's name those dots, shall we? In the first circle, we just spoke about them. You have, all the way back to Europe, or ancient Egypt, you have the pharaohs. You have the dynasties, you have kings, you have queens, you have the Great British Empire. You have all the dictators, like Saddam Hussein, all these other people. You have the oligarchies like Russia. You have people like dictators in North Korea. You have theocracies like Iran. Then you have ideologies. And all these ideologies, some are becoming popular in America today. You might know some of these. Marxism, communism, socialism, progressivism, our old friend. Nazism, fascism, populism, tribalism. One I'm starting to see in America which frightens the life out of me that people are accepting it, nationalism and democracy. I've heard people saying America's a great democracy. You're not a democracy, you've never been a democracy, and God willing you never will be a democracy. Because if I may quote your last president, you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. It's my only Obama quote for today. Sorry, it's actually my second Obama quote for today, that's it, because I didn't like it. Democracy is nothing to be upheld. There's nothing moral about democracy. There's nothing moral about saying, if we have, let's just take this room, this is half of the room, and I'll be this half of the room telling you what to do. Constitutionally in America, you're different. You don't say, I can't tell you what to do. Why can I not tell you what to do? Because before your founders spoke about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, they included little words which dismiss the myth that, oh, they were only slave owners, they were bad people. It's the foundational stone I build all my ideology on. It's a Christian biblical stone. All men are created equal. If I truly believe we're all created equal, because I believe we are, how can I then compel you? You have to do something. How can I compel you? How can I tell you what to do? I can't. Because if I can tell you what to do, guess what? We're not equal. So in some way, shape, or form, I'm superior to you. And likewise, if you think you can tell me what to do. That is why you're fundamentally different. I want to talk to you about some key words. Because right now, in America, if you listen to mainstream media, or you listen to media, everyone will convince you the battle of the day is the Republicans versus the Democrats. Or maybe it's the Democrats versus Donald Trump. It's a battle. It's not that important, though, in the grand scheme of things. Other people might make, well, okay, John, it's about ideologies. It's liberal versus conservatism, or liberalism versus libertarianism. That may be a battle, but it's not really that important. Then people might go, well, okay, you're going a bit deeper, John. I see where you're going. It's the title of Mark Levin's great book. It's liberty versus tyranny. Sure, but it goes a lot deeper. Why America is factually, this is not my opinion, factually different, because your founders understood the most important battle that you will face for your lifetime, and your kids will face it, because it will never go away. It's not left, right. It's none of those battles. It is the battle of law of man versus the battle of laws of nature. People today want to say your founders are bad people. They're very divisive. You talk about the founding, you talk about the founding documents, you talk about the principles I just spoke about. That is the most inclusive ideology that has ever been created. Why? Because it's not saying about only some people. It's saying everyone has it. Everyone. They're not American rights, they're God-given rights. They're for everyone. I have these rights even though they're not respected as an Irishman. The other people, Europeans, have these rights. They're for everyone. But today you're seeing your language infiltrated. Let me talk to you about some of the language that has been infiltrated, that is common use in America today. This one everyone should unite on. The stupid, ridiculous terms called left and right. First of all, factually, if you take a left-winger and a right-winger from America, you place them in a room with a left-winger and a right-winger from Ireland, and a left-winger and a right-winger from Russia, they have very little in common. The history of those terms is ludicrous. No one can say, I'm a proud lefty because I have the following principles. They can't say that. Factually, they cannot say that. Likewise, you cannot say, I'm a proud right-winger because I believe. You can't say that. Where they got those terms was where they sat in Congress, where they sat in Parliament. That is literally where the great left-right divide comes from. That is why the great left-right divide that everyone focuses on, they're the exact same thing. The lefty is the communist, the righty is the fascist. Put those two together and explain the difference to me. Wording. They believe certain different things. But principally, they all believe in man's law, they believe in government, they believe in controlling the individual. They don't believe in anything different. You cannot have a great left-right divide. What you have is people who believe in government and people who believe in the individual. Historically in America, you always believed in the individual. Which leads me on to the next one. So people always say I'm blessed with opportunities. I've been with the Blaze for over 4 years now, but I've had my own weekly show for 3.5 years. People go, how does an Irish guy who's maybe here once a year get to work with the Blaze? Well, I'll tell you the story in case you all don't know. Glenn Beck has been one of my heroes. He was annoying me one week because he used the term repeatedly, and I just went, you know, I'm going to ring in. I know I'm not going to get through with him, but I'm going to ring in and I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. He's got to stop using this term. He knows America's history. He should not be using this word because I believe it is detrimental to American society. That term is called the middle class. First of all, we just spoke about all men being created equal. If you have a middle class, you automatically, by definition, have a top class and you have a lower class. By the way, it doesn't always stop there. In England, they have 5 classes. Upper class, upper middle class, lower middle class, and they never really call the last one, whatever they call it, lower class we use. Or, you know, the peasants. That's an English term. How can you have a middle class if you fundamentally believe all men are created equal? How? It doesn't work. But also, it goes against your ideology. The ideology of you can pursue your happiness and you can be successful. America's history is about doing the right thing and achieving amazing results. Just look at how much you've changed the world. We'll talk about that in 1 second. But historically, you've changed the world. You've done great things. You're telling people to be middle class, striving to be middle class. Do you know what you're effectively telling your kids? Be average. Be average. Don't stand out. Don't do anything unique. Don't be special. Just be average. Be run-of-the-mill. Because you're not really unique. You're no different to him. You're just the same, right? Imagine, let's make this about sports. Baseball season start. Y'all excited for baseball? Baseball?
Yeah.
Astros, Rangers?
Oh, yeah.
Astros? I was going to say, I was like, because I actually was talking to someone last night here, and I'm a Rangers fan. I'm like, really? That's not really your area. But hey, I'm a Yankees fan, so don't kill me. Get out. But imagine I said to you, What's average in the baseball season? You might have what? I'll give you 81 and 81. Who's going to take that? Who takes that? Who's going to come out in the press conference? Would you be excited as a fan of the Astros going, well, we're going to try our best, gosh darn it, we're going to be the best we can be, and we're going to have an 81 and 81 record. Even in spring training, even the Cubbies for all those years, when they were crap and they hadn't won a World Series in like 100 years, they even came out and said, we're going to win the World Series. This year is our year. They were wrong a lot of times, but they still said it each and every year because they just had a glutton for punishment. They got their World Championship 3-4 years ago now. But who wants to be average? Imagine your kid, would you be happy as a parent of your kid, you know, paying all those bucks, you know, for your cleats, for the fancy shoes, you know, the baseball, you know, the gloves, the sweatbands, the helmet. You're paying all this amount of money because you're working through your heart. And he goes, I want to get to the major leagues because I want to hit 250. Who says that? They're like, I want to be A-Rod, I want to hit 54 bombs, I want to be Barry Bonds, I don't know who it is. Then imagine even football. I want to go and I want to get a throw for maybe 25 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. No, everyone wants to go, I want to win the Super Bowl. Why? Because you want to dream big. You want to dream the impossible dream. You want to be exceptional. You want to be the best you can be. When you use the word middle class, you're going, you want to be average. Why average? From a Christian point of view, you've got one life. Use it. Don't be average. From a Christian point of view, if there's any Christians here and you read your Bible, remember the person who had 10 talents, the person who had 5 talents, the person who had 1 talent? Remember what happened to the person who had 1 talent? He bought the average. But I played a safe road. I won't do anything risky. Didn't it work out too well for him? But this is the other word that I'm seeing an awful lot. I just want to win. America has never been about winning. I'm going to talk to you about some stories. If I could give you some homework to do, I'd ask you just to role play a couple of scenarios for you. And this can be apt for men and women. So men, I want you to think you're George Washington. Ladies, you're Martha Washington. George Washington had a great day. He signed up to be the leader of the Continental Army, and he gets on and going, we're going to kick the British's butt, we're going to do all these great things, and he's all excited, we're going to have some freedom, baby. He gets home and he sees Martha. Hey honey, how you doing? And I don't know how they greeted back then, but maybe she gives him a kiss on the cheek, and how you doing? And a bit of a hug. And what did you do today, honey? Well, I became leader of the Continental Army. 2 questions to role play in your head. I don't know whether the second one is apt, because I don't know the historical time of how people lived. But first, do you think she slapped him? And second of all, do you think he slept on the sofa in the Martin bed that night? My answer is she slapped the hell out of him, and he did sleep on the Martin. Maybe he didn't even sleep on the sofa. Maybe he slept on the outside in the outhouse. But just something to think about. It wasn't about winning. People always say about winning. Go through the 54 signers of your Declaration of Independence. If you want some homework, here you go. Go through them. What did winning look like to them? There was a judge in New York who signed your Declaration of Independence. He was respected by both sides of the aisle. After he signed the Declaration of Independence, he never heard another case again. Lost all his respect. There were people who signed that Declaration of Independence who were wealthy, who had property, lost it. There were people who signed that Declaration of Independence who had their wives, their sisters, and their kids raped. There are people who signed up for the Declaration of Independence who fought in the Continental Army, who died, who lost everything. If it was about winning, what did they win? It was about doing the right thing. That is what your nation has been built on. But also, to those who say, if you gave truth serum, I don't think you'd need it because the founders are men of honor. Do you think you'd find even one person who fought in that war who said, yeah, we're going to win? Yeah, we are going to win. If you're thinking maybe, let me give you some scenarios today, just in case you're not familiar with them. You're going against the superpower of the day, the English, the Hessians, the Redcoats. They are very well trained. War is nearly second nature to them. They are well armed, they are well clothed, they are well funded, and they're ready to go. You guys, and I mean this is the greatest respect, you got no training, or very limited training. You weren't even well armed. There were people who had pitchforks, not guns. A lot of people didn't even have shoes on their feet. They didn't have bedding. Your food, while the English drank port and had a lot of America at the time fighting you little rebels and little rebellious little people, the Americans didn't exactly have a lot of good food. In fact, the same food each and every day, after day, after day. You see this. You think they thought they were going to win? Then you go and you actually say, okay, maybe not. Well, then you get into battle with them. We're going to beat them. We're going to win. I don't care what I think. We're just going to do the right thing. Then you get into battle, because it's always great to say things. Then you actually start doing them. You realize, my God, this is a lot harder. You fight them. What happens? You lose. You get retreat. You fight them again, you lose and you retreat. You fight them again, you lose and retreat. If you ever read the history of the time, especially late 1776, it wasn't exactly a nice winter. It was horrific. Again, no shoes on your feet, no bedding. It wasn't exactly a great life, but they did it anyway. Why? Because they wanted that opportunity to have a brighter and better tomorrow. Here's another reason why I love your country. The people who had every opportunity and every logical reason to not sign the Declaration of Independence are the people who signed it. Every one of those 54 people, you talk about rebellions around the world, you talk about communism, you talk about socialism, all those rebellions that happen, it's always people on the ground who are at the bottom who go, I want a bit of that. And they have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. The 54 signers of your Declaration of Independence had everything to gain. They could have paid the extra tax. They could have lobbied the king for more favourable terms for them and screw the rest of Americans. They were your bourgeoisie and greedy capitalists of the day. They could have went, yeah, we just don't want it. But they risked life, limb, and property, and fame, and stature in society for an opportunity for a brighter tomorrow. And my God, how better we are all because of it. Because factually, again, a little bit of homework if you're interested, if this hits you. Take any part of society, and let's just take a point in time, which we all agree with. It's all a moral point in time, whether you're a Christian or not, 0 AD. Because whether you like it, it's 2019 now. Unless you're a North Korean, welcome. It's what, year 132 or year 133, but everyone around the world thinks it's 2019. So 0 AD is the time of Christ. Take any part of society from 0 AD up to 1750 and look at the advancements. I'm not going to even set the criteria. Any part of society, food, education, communication, standard of living, medicine, storage, anything, and look at the advancements. Are there some? Maybe not, maybe about that. Now look from 1750 to today. My God, the changes. And some of it we're so blessed by. Some of it is, I just laugh about it. I'll give you a small example. I don't drive a new car, I don't come from wealth, I'm really poor in many aspects of things, but I'm blessed I'm poor in money, but I'm blessed in so many other ways. So every time I get to come over to America, it's a treat. Why? Because I got to rent a car to come talk to you all. I get it, car rental companies give you a fairly new car, maybe 6 months old or a year old. I have a car out there, it's an SUV. You don't even have to pop the trunk anymore. I press a button. I take my stuff out, and I press a button and it closes down. I don't have to go to the energy and go, give you another one. This actually freaked me out because I've never seen this before. There's 2 lights on my car, on the left and the right. All of a sudden these lights are going off, and because I got in at like 8 o'clock Wednesday night and it's dark and I'm driving the car, and all of a sudden orange light, I'm like, what the hell are they? Because at first I thought it was the police. And then all of a sudden I'm driving, I'm like, what are these lights? They're just off, and then they flash and then they go. I'm like, what the hell are these doing? Figured it out the next day. Every time there's a car on the inside, that light goes off, and anytime there's a car on the left, it goes off. Why did that happen? Got breaking news for y'all. That wasn't some bureaucrat going, you know what would be a great idea? Let's put 2 lights there so that, you don't, in case you verge in on either lane, you'll hit people. Now that was someone following their happiness going, you know what would be a great idea? Let's put this in to this. I think that will make people's life better. And you all agreed because you bought cars with them. That's the great thing about freedom, pursuing your happiness. That is the fundamental difference between America and the rest of the world. It's not about winning, it's about doing the right thing. And we have prospered because of it. Look at everything that you have. Barbecue. I used to hear a term under Obama, you all used to have these food deserts. I've been in Walmart. Trust me, if you have a problem, it's not food desert, it's too much food with too many choices. I just want to go, I want a packet of crisps, I want a packet of chips. Well, would you like this flavor, this brand, would you like a crinkle cut, would you like it straight, would you like it baked? I'm like, just a pack of fries, man, just give me a pack of fries. Well, which one do you want? Do you want the bargain ones, do you want 2 for 1, do you want this? You have too many choices, you haven't got food deserts, you've got surplus of choices. Look at all the lights. I don't know about you, but when I think of successful things, I think one of the most successful things is something you're all going to laugh at. I'm a big fan of indoor plumbing. The idea of having to get up at 2 AM in the morning to go tinkle, and I have to go, geez, I have to go outside and it's freezing cold, and then you got to do it. No, I just walk in, I've suffered cold tiles and walk across. Great things. The internet. Why did these happen? Because of the idea of America. That you have a God-given right to pursue your happiness and create a better life for you, your family, and your friends, and your siblings.
You don't have to hold tiles.
You don't have to hold tiles. Doesn't matter. To emphasize this point, I want to talk to you about the Cold War. Everyone usually say when I talk about the Cold War, they go, who won the Cold War?
The US.
I always get some combination of Reagan, Thatcher, and there's always some Catholics who throw in John Paul. Reagan did, yeah. Thatcher did, yeah, no doubt. I'm not demeaning them, they're all great people. And John Paul, you couldn't have won the Cold War without him. But if you actually ever go and listen to Reagan's speeches, which I'd encourage you to do because he was so optimistic, he was never angry, he was just so optimistic about your future. Even if you disagree with his policies, his speech ability was just unparalleled. But why did he win the Cold War? He didn't, you all did. Because if you actually look at the messaging of every speech he did was sending to Gorbachev one message. And this is the message. Mr. Gorbachev, the difference in this war is not me or you. The difference is how we treat our people. I'm President of the United States again, and I've taken the foot off the American people. I've reduced their taxes, I've inspired them to make them change the world again. I'm unleashing their energy, and I'm letting them do what they do best. You treat your citizens like second-class citizens. You have your foot on their throat. You tell them they can't do it. You tell them that if they don't achieve great results, you will be punished. Mr. Gorbachev, the battle of this Cold War comes down to one thing. Who is going to out-innovate the other? My people who are now free and I'm letting them do and prosper like they've never prospered before, or you who will kill people if they don't do the right thing, and they won't prosper? Gorbachev won. That's why you had something like the Star Wars program, Gorbachev believing in it. Why? Because he deep down, he might never admit this, but going, you know, those pesky American people, they've changed the world an awful lot. Maybe they might just have a Star Wars program. Sadly, you also have people in your own government, they don't have a Star Wars program. Shut up, we do. But y'all did. The Iron Dome in Israel was based off the Star Wars program. That is what won it. It was each and every one of you. True innovation during your everyday lives. That is the incredible part of your history. But I want to finish up by talking about a couple of other principles. America's founders were incredible men. But they did everything the exact opposite to the history of the world. They did things that we need to learn from. First off, is if you read the layout and the structure of the Declaration of Independence. Everyone from the day you were born has an innate ability to complain. You may not be able to verbalize it, you may not be able to say it in the best terms, or even have any logic or reason, or make the wrong decision. But you can give out, you all do it. I'm tired. Personally, I'm not feeling the best today. I did a stupid thing last night. I had a Philly cheesesteak in Texas, and I got home at 12:45 from my hotel room and got sick. So I'm not exactly feeling 100% today. That was, you know, you don't have a Philly cheesesteak outside of Philly. I learned that lesson, but it was late and there was not many other choices. I should have went for barbecue, but there was no barbecue joints open at that time. So, but we all can complain. A baby just out of the womb will complain. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm sore, my nappy needs changing. How will it verbalize it? It'll cry until you find it's like, hey, okay, what's wrong with you? Okay, you're not hungry. Okay, you're not tired. Oh, you got a shitty nappy. Okay, we need to change that. And then it goes back to sleep. It verbalizes complaints. Everyone will tell you what they don't like. Everyone will say, I am not happy. This food is not good. I'm too hot. I'm too cold. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like the Democrats. I don't like this. Your founder said, listen, I got a lot of things against this king. In fact, I have 27 things I don't like about the king. But before I tell you those, here's what I'm going to do, which is different. I'm going to tell you what I'm for. Look around at the media. Look around at people who do what they do today. Many people actually tell you what they're for. So many people went against the politics, and I don't want to focus in on either party, but so many politicians base their election off of being the opposite and not the other person. The lesser of two evils. Well, they're for this, I'm not. They never tell you, when's the last time you saw a campaign ad that said, hey, I'm John, I want to win this election, whether it's I want to be on the school board, or I want to be sheriff, or I want to go to Congress, and here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be inspired. Never hear that. Your founders are great men because they told you what they are for. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The second thing, everyone can quote certain lines. They become very popular in society. People can quote the Declaration of Independence ad nauseum. They go, oh, we believe in all men are created and endowed by the Creator with certain liberties, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A couple of things you need to understand that are not well quoted anymore. One is everyone talks about freedoms and rights. Everyone. They're different rights, but everyone talks about it. You hear people on the right going, I have a right to protect myself. You have friends on the left going, I have a right to healthcare. You're starting to start seeing, I have a right to college. I have a right. Sorry, I'm just looking for a quote to actually quote it word for you, because there's two of them. Everyone talks about rights. Even people who don't like this government will go, I have the right to destroy that government. You see all these poll testings where they go, I just want everyone out of Congress. I'd fire all 534. That's easy. Your founders, not once but twice in your Declaration of Independence, said you have a right, but you also have a responsibility. First one, you have the right of the people to alter or abolish your government. They didn't stop there. They continued by saying, and institute new government. Second time, under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future security. You have to fundamentally understand that if you want to talk about freedom, you want to talk about rights, they're all great conversations. But if you don't do it without talking about responsibilities, you're not having a complete conversation. Because that is how other people in other countries have got power. Because everyone's worried about their rights, their freedoms. Hey, I want this. And they don't talk about responsibilities, which creates a vacuum. That vacuum has got to be filled by something. We only know one body, it has different names and different terms, but government will fill that. Okay, you have all your freedoms, I'll take all your responsibilities. And by the time you actually realise they're doing it, because you think they're doing it for your good, you realise you live under a tyrant and a despot, and you haven't any freedoms, they've just eroded them. And that's what you're starting to see right now. Second thing is, how they proceeded to act. Again in your Declaration of Independence. We have sought redress in the most humblest of terms. How many people today have a grievance in society, rightly or wrong, and said, we've sought redress in humble terms? Honestly, who seeks redress in humble terms anymore? If we get angry about something, we go on Twitter and Facebook and create a fancy hashtag. We'll demean someone. We'll demand them. No one's humble. Why is this important? Some of y'all might be going, oh John, okay, it was 240 years ago, move on. I'm sick of hearing about the founders. Okay, let me give you more modern history. The battle of Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X. Who won? Sadly, I think there's some people in this world today, on both sides, who would say, you know what, I'm more open to Malcolm X. I think he actually did win in the long term. He didn't, he lost. I know this because one, you have a federal holiday, but secondly, because of the difference. Because no one can quote a Malcolm X speech. Everyone, regardless of how much you know, you probably don't know any other part of the speech, but you can say, I had a dream. But why did he win? It's key. Because he fulfilled the promises of the founders. He fought the way the founders did. Because while Malcolm X was going, you know what? Get whitey. It was easy for the people who were racist in your country to go, he wants to get you. He wants to get you. You did nothing wrong. He wants to get you. Get whitey. Punch him. Beat him. What was Martin Luther King doing? Walking arm in arm and Salmon across a bridge. Going, I don't want to take what you have. I just want the same thing. Because we're not different. We're the exact same. How could you argue against that? He sought redress in humble terms. Even if you read his words, and there are certain aspects I disagree, ideology with Martin Luther King. I'm not saying he was perfect or he was right upon everything. There were many things I think he was fundamentally wrong in. But how he sought to do things, when he speaks about American make, wrote this check 200 years ago, it's time for us to cash it now. That's not demeaning. That's not saying or blaming them. Of all the people who were angry, he had a pretty good right. He was abused by your government. He was told for his safety, he couldn't carry a gun. His safety. I kind of need a gun to protect myself. People want to kill me. Yeah, for your safety you can't have it. He had every reason to be angry. He wasn't. The reason Martin Luther King won, and I know this factually, because when you tell the world what you're for, everyone responds. The stat no one ever tells about Martin Luther King, you know that I have a dream? You know, he went to the mall, sold a load of people went. You know the one stat no one will ever tell you that proves when Americans hear what they're for and agree with it, they'll encourage you. They'll be there with you, they'll walk arm in arm with you. 25% of the people who turned up that day were white. Why did 25% of people turn up to listen to a black pastor speak about rights they already had? Because he told them what they are for. Because deep down, in here, you all have this little beacon that says, we're supposed to be free. We are all equal. There is no one better than us. We are all Americans. We can do this. And you can do it. Because look at the history of your world, of your country. In 240 years, you've achieved more than any other nation. Why? Because of certain principles that I just spoke about. We spoke about the Revolutionary War. Who thought that would happen? It did. There are many reasons for that. Oh, but John, that was only a flash in the pan. Well, you beat them again in 1812. You went through the most horrific civil war. You overcame that. You went to the moon. 1963, Kennedy set up, we're going to the moon. Everyone went, yeah! Let's do it. We're Americans. Every other nation went, can't go to the moon. You on drugs? You know, drug test that man, seriously. He's smoking or she's smoking something. He can't do it. What did you do? Yeah, we're going to the moon. Let's do it. Why? Because you can do it. You can dream big. You're the country that has explored the swamp to the stars. Why? Because it allowed you to pursue your happiness. I'm going to finish up with one final point. It'll realistically be like the third last point, but I always say this to keep you going. Last point. I hear people saying to me today that, John, America's never been more divided. These people, they're just so bad. They're just like this. We cannot unite. I want to paint you a picture. It's the Revolutionary War again. You might sense where I'm going. I always talk about the Revolutionary War because your fathers are such great men. But imagine if you could use the John Adams standard of your people. They didn't obviously have censuses and they didn't keep them and stuff, but use the John Adams standard. John Adams was a pretty good guy. First man who violated your constitution, but we'll let that slide. we won't go down that road. But he said, roughly 33, the Aliens edition, in case you had a question on your face, that was, if you don't know about that, that was the first violation of your con from a presidential point of view. And you couldn't say anything bad. It was actually very funny. Sorry, I do tend to do this. I'm a bit ADD, I go off. That lady had a question, I'm like, is that true? He had created this law, which was wonderful. You couldn't criticise the members of the government. But what is actually hilariously funny at the time was you couldn't criticise him, you couldn't criticise the member. There was only one member of the government you could criticise. Do you know who that was? Thomas Jefferson, the vice president. It's hilariously funny. Back then it was bad, it's bad. But when you understand the history of the two of them and the whole situation, like, you can't criticise anyone. Him, oh, totally go for it. He's a real bad guy. And probably maybe Jefferson might have done the same thing if he had a chance, I don't know. But go back to the time of your founding. Imagine yourself signing up to be in the Continental Army. His standard was 33% of people wanted the independence. 33% wanted to stay in Britain. And 33% could be swayed either way or didn't care. Now bear in mind, of the 33% who wanted to leave, 10% maybe did something and 1% actually probably fought and actually did something meaningful. Now imagine yourself, you're that 1% or that 10%. You want to be free. You yearn to breathe free. And you go off in that Continental Army. We spoke about the no shoes, the no weapons, no bedding, same bland foods, you're getting your butt kicked. You maybe got friends with someone from another town. You got friendly with them and they died. You keep fighting and you got friendly with another person, you saw them die. Maybe you had to run into their mother one day when you came back after winning. You had to say, look, he was a great guy, I'm sorry for your loss. Think of the emotions there. Why can you not overcome everything that you have that they didn't overcome? They overcame all those things. You think they weren't angry? Do you think they didn't look in their town and go, see you wanted to stay in Britain, I fought and died, my friends died, I had no shoes for 6 months, damn it, and you wanted to stay? Yes, you stayed and became a great nation that didn't stop. Why is this critically important? Because people, if you want to understand revolutions, there were two great revolutions which altered the course of this earth in both a good way and a bad way at around the same time. The French Revolution and the American Revolution. Many Americans were thought that the French Revolution was just like you. It wasn't, because it failed on one key thing that you cannot build freedom on. Where they spoke about the three tenets of the French Revolution. To this day, they're on every major French building, you'll see them in French. Thomas Paine fell for it. Hey, freedom! I like freedom. I like that. Yeah, sign me up, baby. What's the second one? Liberty! Yeah, I love liberty! Love me, sign me up. I think this is great. They're just like us. Third tenet, they fall down on. They call it fraternity. In English, it's brotherhood. While France was teaching brotherhood and acting like they were brothers, we're going, hey, we're the same. It's him as the enemy. We'll get power. And then we'll enforce our will on him. And then you go off and lick your lips and you conspire with him and him and him and go, you know what? I don't like the way they treat us. I don't like the way they do this. You know what? They're the problem. Let's get them. And then you came and kicked our butt out. And then you controlled us, told us what to do. In France, it ended with the guillotine. Where France spoke about fraternity and brotherhood, your founders knew what was key to making you exceptional was three words. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. That is why you are different and unique. This is not my opinion. I've shared very little of my opinion tonight. I've shared facts. Whether you agree with what I say, whether you could listen to me and go, John, I think everything you said is the biggest load of hoey. I don't think life is disposable. I don't think you have a right to pursue your happiness. I think you have to live inside the box. You can disagree with it, but factually there's only one nation that stands apart that says you can. That there alone is why America is an exceptional nation. Why do I do what I do? So I shared some of the story at the start. I want to become part of your nation. I've been trying to get legally here for 15 years. It's incredibly hard. I wanted to get a job. 2 years ago, I was blessed with a job, and then Beck offered me a job. Couldn't get a visa because I don't have a college degree. And also, while I do this, and I think you'd say maybe I know something about your history and I could research it, I don't have paid work experience because I'm a volunteer. I see this, and I see so much of your country. You have so much potential. You inspired me to want to be better. You've inspired me to go, not only to be better, but to be part of you, to come over and serve alongside you, to stand up for you, because I know when you're at your best. But right now, I have so many people over the last 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, on both sides of the aisle go, it's all about politics. I had people on my friends on the right say, John, why do you still want to come to America? Look at what they're doing in New York. Look at what they're doing in New York. That's horrific. I know you're against it. Why do you want to become American? Because of the idea. It doesn't change. I had people who say, and my friends on the left go, John, you don't want to come to America. Now, why? Donald Trump is president, he's Hitler. Okay, wonderful. It's not about Donald Trump. I don't care. I had my friends on the right said the exact same thing about Obama. I don't want to come here because of your politics. I have no interest in your politics. I want to come here because of the idea of America. I yearn to be free. I want to help you become the nation I know you are destined to be. Because here's the truth about it. People say to me all the time, I talk about your problems. I'll talk about the problems if you want. You have many problems right now that are facing your nation. You haven't got one problem you can't fix with the history and the principles of your nation. You can't fix anything. The question isn't whether you can or can't. The question is, are you willing to? Are you willing to make that sacrifice? And if I may give another biblical reference, are you willing to do the right thing and potentially live in the desert for 40 years and not eat meat? If you know your Bible, you know what that reference means. They didn't. They failed that test. Historically, the answer to that question to this day has always been yes. I don't want to live in a world where the generation, mine or older, is the first American generation to go, no. That's why I do what I do. Because I'm living in Europe. I live and I see man getting more powerful. Man is becoming the ultimate authority. We are making men gods. And you are doing the same over here. If no one stands for freedom, who does? It's not like I have a choice where I go, you know what, America rejected me, I tried to do things the right way. Those people, yeah, they're great and I love the country and I love their history, but today, they care more about illegals who break the law than they do about me. They don't want me. I'll go to some other country. Where is it? Name that country. Because I sure as hell can't, and I'm pretty well read on history around the world, even today. There is no other America. You are the only people who has ever stood for the laws of God and nature's law. That is who you are. That is what I want to be part of. I don't want to come here to be rich. Because today, again, your language has been inverted. I speak to many people on all sides who go, the American dream is something materialistic. I have a second car, a second holiday, a second home, whatever it is. I don't want to be rich. Truth be told, I don't even want to be famous. If you spoke to John from 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, and said, hey, in 2019, you're going to be doing this, I'd be like, I'd be using the Calvin Coolidge quote, great story about how what a great man, where he's sitting at dinner and someone says, I bet I can get more than 2 words out of you, and you just turn out, you lose. Because that's what I'd say to you, you lose. I ain't doing this. Why am I doing it? Because I need to. It's my responsibility to do it. Because if no one else will, who's going to do it? Because the sad and frustrating thing for me is no one follows your constitution anymore. Here's a fact that many people mightn't like in this room. This budget, this bill, if you vote for it, you sign it into law, you violate your oath of office.
Yep.
Simple. Facts. Can't do it. It violates Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, and it also violates Article 2. Because no power, the President does not have that power. You may want him to have that power, but he does not have that power. All power should be vested in Congress. I don't even know anyone who knows the 18 clauses in the Article 1, Section 8. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone who knows the Declaration of Independence. They might know some words of it. But it's inspired me, and in turn I want to inspire you. That is my job. But also, as I understand from living in Europe, that we need to understand one fundamental thing. And I say this to each and every one of you. Because of the party I'm with, I'm pretty sure at some point in your life, at least once, and I'm being conservative when I say that, you have said, government should not do this. Let me explain why you need to understand what your answer has to change. from my mother's point of view. I come from a family, I'm the black sheep of my family, and many of my family don't talk to me. Why? Because of what I stand for. It's not popular. I come from a long line of socialists, trade unionists, progressives. We just want more regulation because man can't be trusted. When they hear me talk about government, here's what they hear. Okay, who's going to do it? What we need to do is, if we want government to do less, we must do more. So here I am on my vacation, talking to you, hopefully inspiring you about your nation, but also because I believe in what I do, I also am trying to raise money. I can't legally or morally take money, I don't need it, but I'm trying to raise awareness for M1. If you're a Christian right now in the Middle East, there are Christians been slaughtered. They literally have a choice of convert, pay a tax, or die. There's a fund called the Nazarene Fund. If you can consider, I always say don't tell me, I don't need to know. If you check them out, if you pray for them, because in the Middle East it's extremely dangerous getting these people out. I was in the studios the other day and I was meeting with some people about things, and they showed me a box of these little beaded bracelets, and on them there's a cross. I was like, what are they? They're cool. And I got told the story that they rescued a big sect of people from the Middle East. They can't tell me where. They're now living in Slovenia or Slovakia, one of those two countries. And literally, because they're so grateful that they're not targeted, that they can live in somewhat type of freedom. It's not freedom like we know, but it is, compared to the Middle East, it's freedom. They want to give something back. They want to help people. They want to try and raise money. That's what they're doing. That is what you're needing to do. If we need to want government to do less, each of us has to do more. So if you pray, keep them in your prayers, research them. If you have a bit of money, throw them a few bob. They've raised over $15 million. Oskar Schindler is very famous from Nazi Germany. All the people read that they've saved. We've saved more, and we're going to do a lot more. And I'm proud to work with them. With that being said, I'm here to answer any questions and whatever y'all want. Any questions, any topics, I have no problems answering. Thank you so much. Absolutely, sorry. This gentleman just painted that for me. How they get targeted, in case you don't know, is, let me tell you a story. Imagine we all leave here today, hopefully all as friends, you don't hate me for being a Yankee fan. You go home, you took your kids or your grandkids into sleep, you give your wife your hug and a kiss and say, I love you, you're awesome. You wake up tomorrow morning, you go to your porch, you go, ooh, that's on my porch. What does that mean? That's Arabic for N. That may seem innocuous, but in the Middle East that's a death sentence. That means you're N for Nazarene, a follower of Christ. That means you're going to be, chances are you convert, pay a tax, or die. That is what is happening right now. You don't hear it in the, people will tell you ISIS is gone. It may be depleted, but it's not gone. They're still doing it. There are still people in the Middle East who want to kill Christians. They want to kill Muslims as well, by the way. Because hey, you're not Muslim enough. You don't believe what I do. I'm going to control you. We need to be freedom. The answer to every problem in this world is pretty much what I spoke about. And I can't say, well, look how great I am. I have these great ideas. No. I'm just repeating it, sharing it with you. Because that is how we win the argument. So, thank you all for listening, and ask me anything you want. Just throw in a few yes or no answers. I was at an event the other night, and because you might get the sense like, don't shut up. I have a bit of ADD, so like I'll have all these. I could tell you about 10 more stories that I all of a sudden thought, no, don't say that, because they all just come to me. I have brief notes that I follow, but different stories come in. And I was at a speech at Tulsa, and I only was given 20 minutes. And I kind of went over, it's what I do. I'm really bad, don't ever have me at a conference where there's a time limit, because I will go over, I like tonight the whole day. And they went, do you want to do a Q&A? And I went, yeah, no problem, we'll do a Q&A. And this gentleman was over to my left, and he asked me like 3 questions, and they were long, in-depth questions, and I just kept saying, I was like, just ask me yes or no questions. Like, I didn't mind, but like the lady was like, we have to be out of here. It was a church, and like the pastor was going, do you ever shut that Irish boy up? Just tell him to go away. Say thank you, and he's not paid by the word. So, any questions that you have?
So, let me see if I understand. So you're really still living in Ireland, but you come to the U.S. 2 or 3 times a year then?
No, about once a year, whenever I could afford it.
So
yeah,
it's like
I'm on vacation, so I'm a really bad person to be around, because I get bored. Most people go on vacation, I know we all go maybe Busch Gardens or Disney, or maybe just sit by a pool. I do that for 20 minutes and I'd be like, this is fun, what's next? So other people might go and relax. This is my vacation time. I'm here on a I'm not working because I know I can't legally or morally, I won't take it either, morally money. So what can I do? I want to make a difference. So I come over and I talk to you all about how great your nation is, and please don't change it. Get back to those principles, because the world needs you. You know, the world is at its best when you're the best when you're the Statue of Liberty, shining for the world. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us again, Freedom's Disciples, the name of the show you do on Glenn Beck's,
Yes.
on the Blaze.
So I do a show.
How do you find that?
Sure, if you go to any platform, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Omni FM, Player FM, whatever you listen to, you look up Freedom's Disciple, it's free. We release a show every Saturday at 12 noon, and the reason that the name is two, I'm a Christian. 2 reasons. 1, I'm a Christian. I believe in freedom. That's my aim. I'm not here to tell you sides. I'm here to talk principles, but also because of disciple. Disciple is a Christian term, but also it has meaning from ancient Greece, which means teacher. And I want to hopefully teach and inspire you, so that's the name. So you check it out. All the shows are free. I will give you a heads up. There's no show this week or next week because I'm over here and I don't have the technology, and I am traveling all over your state. This is the worst tour I've ever planned. I'm literally, let's put it this way, I've not been very carbon friendly this trip, because I went Dallas, Tulsa, Dallas, Natchitoches last night, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Palestine, Houston, Dallas, doing the zigzag of your state. If AOC found out, she'd be like, you can't have a car, dude, seriously. And not only can I not have a car, I have an SUV. So I'm like really, really annoying the Green New Deal right now. So, but yeah, so that's what I do. So if you ever check it out. The other thing is, I'm not plugging this, I did a program because I actually believe in free market capitalism, these hoodies. There's also other ones. The most popular one was America Making the Impossible Possible since 1776. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's never personal, always principles. There's a few designs up there on the freedomsdisciple.com. There's business cards here if you want to take one. But what I did was, if you buy them, because one of the things I've done it a lot in the past, is because of charities. I've gone and said, hey, I have this charity, will you give me money? And I always hate doing that. I always hate, even if it's the most worthy cause, even Christians, I hate that relationship. I hate asking for money, so I always kind of go, what can I offer you? Hey, I have this shirt. If you buy this shirt, which this is my own one you can buy, all profits go to Mercury One. We started it last November. I just gave them $380 in cash of pure profit. It's not life-saving amounts of money, but if everyone kind of did $380, and it's not me, I just happen to facilitate it, but it's people buying it, and then the profit, we make about maybe $6-7 a shirt. So it's not mega, and they're reasonably priced. So that's what we do, and that's what I try and do. These are all simple questions. No one going to ask me about Brexit.
I'll give you another softball.
Okay, softball.
How'd you find us? I received the email, and you said he was coming to the U.S., and so that's how we ended up running it down. But I'm just curious, is that through Glenn Beck, or how?
No, I just Googled parties and meetings in Texas. Because I was supposed to come here, and the reason for the late email, and thank you for having me in such short notice, was I was over here to do something at these 2 weeks. There was an event I was supposed to be at, and then there was an issue with the infrastructure, and the event had to be cancelled. So I'm like, well, I'm in Texas for 2 weeks. That's great. Huh. Well, I'm sure I'll go talk to Glenn for a day.
Can I break a rule?
Yeah.
It's not a question.
No, but I was just
want to. It's not a question.
Yeah.
Break a rule with me. And I know everybody else here is thinking this. I want to thank you.
Okay.
You are inspiring. You are a teacher.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So this is what I did. So I probably emailed you late December.
Yeah. That's
when I got the notice, like the meetings. I'm like, what do I do? Well, go speaking. Yeah. So I literally sent emails to people. I was like, hey, I'm free for 2 weeks. You want to hear me talk? That's literally what I did.
I'm glad you did.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Based on everything you know from our history,
yes.
From even life today, what action would you suggest that we, as people who love this country and love our history as well, what would you suggest we do to gain control of what feels like a snowball coming at us down a mountain?
So, I'll answer that in 2 ways, if you don't mind. The first way, you're going to hate the answer.
Nah.
First one is I can't tell you. Because, I know I will give you the answer, I'm not dodging the question. I can't tell you because I don't know whether you're a Christian or not, or if you have any way belief in any type of faith. I can't tell you because the answer to you is unique. The answer to everyone is unique. So whatever you do, if you pray for your guidance, everyone can change the world in whatever way they're meant to do. It's up to you whether you do it or not. Now what I will do is I will answer your question and give you some options. The first thing I think we need to do is we need to teach people. And understand that when I hear people talking about educational problems in America, everyone talks and they're horrific. You know, the unions, they're teaching liberal bias, they're teaching all this stuff, they're teaching Common Core, all these different things, and I 100% agree with you. But the problem is, education is only schools. So we need to change that. Historically, if you go back, if you said to the founders, talk to me about education, that schooling would be the last thing they'd focus on. They'd go, what's the church doing? What's the family doing? What's the community doing? What are your fans and family doing? Let me give you one resource that you can use that is totally unappreciated in this world. Grandparents. Telling the actual story. It's great reading about history. History is incredible. You go read about Martin, we just spoke about Martin Luther King. Go talk to a grandparent. Actually get your grandparents to talk to you about going, hey, what was it like seeing the transformation of the country living through the 60s? You can talk about something like, free love, baby, the hippie movement. Don't talk about that. Don't read about a textbook. Share these stories. If you're a Christian and you're in any involvement in your church, people ask me, say all the time, the Revolutionary War, when did it start? Who was it against? It wasn't against the British. It wasn't against the Hessians. And it did not start in 1776. I can make an argument which people don't like. It started at the Mayflower. More realistically, it started on a church pulpit around 1720. You know Thomas Jefferson, when he wrote the Declaration of Independence, he said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. That wasn't poll testing words the way they do today. Go, hey, we'll ring 100 people and survey says this is all what most of you wanted to hear. No, they were self-evident truths. Why? Because they heard them somewhere. They were heard in the church, they heard in the school, they heard in the family, around the dinner table discussing all these things. That's how you change the world. Then it comes to politics. You want to know one change I would do if I could overnight? Take such focus off the presidency. Take it off. I was in Tulsa, and I don't know what this lady's like, so I'm not endorsing her or anything because I don't know her, but she was running for the school board. She's in a district of 60,000 people, 72 people voted in the school board this election. No, sorry, that's a lie. 72 people voted for her, and she won. The second person had 50 votes, the third person had 49. There's 60-something thousand people in a district, and that's how many people voted. Everyone will say they voted for Donald Trump or voted for whoever they voted for. That's the one you can't miss, but the school board. The other thing you have to do is get involved at a local level. I don't know what your calling is, but we need to start talking about history. But also, we need to fundamentally change how we talk about history. I have many friends on both sides of the aisle, which makes me very popular. Both sides hate me, because they're always like, well, what about the Republican Party? I'm like, that speech, does that ring true to anything anymore? You know, it doesn't happen. But they always go, but the right will go, America's the best country in the world, baby, yeah, America, America, America. They'll never in the history of their time have ever said one negative thing about America. My friends on the left are going, America's, yeah, it's okay, it's average, it's all right. If we want to talk about history, we need to talk about both history. America is a great, exceptional country. I love your nation. There's a reason why I want to be part of it. I hope you got the love of it from that speech that you just spoke about. But I'll talk to you about your bad history all day long. I'll talk to you about the hypocrisy of the American. I'll give you some examples. One, you're fighting World War II. Hitler's a bad guy. Why is he a bad guy? He's interning Jews and killing them. He's also interning Christians and gay people, anyone who doesn't look like him, who's not a part of the Aryan race. That's great, America thought that. What was America doing at home at the exact same time? Oh yeah, it was interning its own citizens, Japanese citizens. Want another one? One of the worst days, you said to me, what's one of the worst days of American history caused by Americans? Because obviously, if you said to me just worst day in your history, say 9/11. But worst history caused by Americans, the Battle of Wounded Knee, where you shot your own citizens at night before, in the middle of the night, even after they agreed to give up their weapons on the next day. It's Native Americans. Google the Battle of Wounded Knee, you'll see the bad side of America. We need to share all the history. Because I'm not saying those stories to demean America, I'm saying this happened, don't ever let it happen again. And be truthful. But we also need to do it in a way where it's inspiring. I see so many people on social media today, you're dumb. Oh, you're a socialist, what do you know? Well, I believe it, I hope you don't mind the Christian reference, it's our job to either plant a seed or hopefully someone else has planted it and we water it. You're not going to do that by demeaning. When was the last time you think of something? Just think of something last time you were wrong. You went home to your loved one and went, I was wrong on this. How did you find out? Someone called me a flaming liberal, called me the biggest idiot in the world, personally insulted me, was demeaning to me, and I found out I was wrong and I'm going to change my actions. Doesn't happen. What happens is, hey look, Well, I'm not picking on you, I'm sorry, you're just happen to be up front. Hey buddy, I think you're wrong on this.
He's worthy of picking on.
Oh, is he? Totally throwing him under the bus. But how you do it is, listen, I'm going to talk to you privately. Not so everyone, I'm not going to do it in front of everyone where everyone goes, yeah, you're the problem. Hey, listen, I saw you said this or did this. Can I tell you why I think you're wrong? And let you decide. But also, if I can go back to principles. So many people today don't understand one fundamental principle, which is key to e pluribus unum. It's okay to disagree. So many people today, we have a discussion. Hey, I'll talk to you. And this is on all sides, by the way. I used to be part of debates when the Tea Party was big, of flat tax versus fair tax. Full disclosure, I was a fair tax guy, because I think income tax is wrong, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. But people will know, oh, well, then we can't agree. You're just too much of an extremist. I hate you. I'm like, here, let's think about this for a second. I want a fair tax, you want a flat tax. I'm not the enemy. Here's the truth that I won't say publicly, or I would, other people wouldn't. I'll be happy if you win and get a fair tax. Do you remember when Herman Payne, God bless him, ran for president, he had the 999 plan? No one ever talks about that anymore. So I want a fair tax because of morals and principles, but if you win, I'm going to be happy for you. And guess what, if I win, you get more of your money. I'm not your enemy. But so many people are going, oh, John can't talk to me, he wants that fair tax, he's immoral. Let's go, hey, we just disagree, even if it's on something bigger. If you disagree with some of those principles, okay, that's cool. You're not my enemy. I love you. We'll disagree, we can be friends. But have that understanding that, you know what, sometimes you're not going to change them. But also understand the culture you live in. I had a very interesting conversation, and I've shared this was about a year ago. I talk about, you know, reaching out and talking to people, because I do it all the time. I fail, it's like, sometimes it's like this. That's actually better, that actually is more therapeutic than some of the talks I have, but I try and reach out to people. And a guy reached out to me one day going, I listened to your show, I tried your advice, it failed. So I wrote back, because I'll always reply, sometimes it takes me a bit longer. And I went, what do you mean you failed? How did you fail? I reached out to this kid who I know is a socialist, and I spoke to him for 20 minutes, and he didn't get it, so I failed, I gave up. It was like banging my head off that wall. And I went, first of all, I didn't say this to him, but in my head I went, how arrogant. How arrogant. Liberal indoctrination, maybe liberal parents, liberal media, liberal Hollywood, liberal pop culture. You're going to replace all of that in 20 minutes? Wow, you think you're somehow the preacher, you think you're better than God. God can't do that in 20 minutes. Well, maybe he could, he did create the world in 7 days, so maybe God could. But I can't do it. That's why I don't want to tell you what I think, because here's the thing, I'm wrong on some issues. I think, because I researched it, I think in my head that everything makes logical sense. So other people might go, I disagree, I think John's wrong on that. I don't want you to think the way I do, I want you to think how you do. Because what we need to teach people, and this is what's missing in school, talk about education changing, now everyone wants to teach you how to think. Or sorry, everyone wants to teach you what to think, not how to think. That's what we need to do. Inspire you, go change the world.
They're concerned about how you feel. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And all of us, we were asked, well, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
But now it's feel.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Mm-hmm. If I may quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
That's so pesky things.
Absolutely. But we have to understand it. And the other thing is, I always say this, let me give you an example, I'm going to pick on you again. The idea of we're all created equal is important. This new Green New Deal is immoral, and I'll tell you why. Let's say they don't do this, but let's say I did. I sat down with you for 20 minutes. No, I want you to tell me your lifestyle. Tell me everything you do. And then I came to you, you wouldn't come to me for this type of advice. But let's say I sat there and went, you know what? You need to reduce that. Have it once a month. You know those few beers you have on a Friday? Don't do it. You know these cigarettes you do? Don't do it. If you do all this advice, you'll live 5 years longer, you'll be fitter, you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll do everything. And let's say they don't have this, but let's say that's factually accurate, it's provable you will have that life. And you go, but John, I like barbecue, I like my few beers, I like my cigarettes, I like doing this. I'm not going to do it. Even though I know it's morally right, do I have a right to say, yes you will? You will live the way I say. No, I don't. Therefore, if you believe that small example, how can I turn around and say, go, you can't have a car, you can't fly in a plane, and you, buddy, the greedy capitalist, you can't have a plane to sell tickets to other people. You can't do that. It doesn't work. That's what we need to talk to people about. Bring everything back to principles. There's your long answer. See, I told you it wasn't short, and I wasn't dodging. But do whatever you feel called. Like if you want to run for school board, if you've got kids or grandkids, get involved. If there's a state election, go run. Go do it. Or support people, plant lawn signs. If you don't want to make it politics, go talk to people. Go, hey, I'm going to talk to you about the Constitution. 5 minutes. I'm not going to be like that crazy Irish guy who just doesn't show up. Just give me 5 minutes and I'll talk to you. But share that, and share it with passion. Because here's what I believe, and I think I do have, because I hope I have it, is I believe how you change minds. You don't change minds through insults and demean, you change it through passion. I don't know anyone who goes listen to someone that said I was demeaning and that was a great speech. People should find passion. Go listen to Ronald Reagan while I disagreed with him on some issues with the Constitution, because if you know his history, you'll know why I disagree with him. But he was great. Ronald Reagan was never arrogant. He was never angry. One of his angriest quotes, I said to someone, he was an angry old man. I went, tell me the quote, give me the video of him angry. Do you know what one they gave back to me? You might remember this. I paid for this microphone. Well, gee golly, if that's Ronald Reagan angry and he's a tyrant, my God, let's lock him up. You know, but you look at today, everyone's angry and nasty to each other. His angriest quote by a liberal was, I paid for this microphone. But he wasn't, he was awe-inspiring. Why? Because if you actually listen to his speech, and it's an amazing speech from 1992 when he endorsed Bush at the convention, one line changed my life, and he said, I hope I appeal to your best hopes and not your worst fears. Because that's who he was. Because that's what you need. Because here's the thing, I don't think you respond to that hate. I believe the sentiments of the Tocqueville, and America is great because Americans are good. I believe whether you want to call it a spirit or a soul or there's a beacon inside of you, maybe you all were chipped at birth, where you have this little beacon that's just waiting to be activated for freedom, for love, yeah, we can. I don't care if you vote differently, we can do it. You want to know, maybe I was asked or I spoke about the worst days in American history. 9/11, horrific. One of your best days in American history? 9/12. Why? Because it wasn't any different in races. It wasn't different, hey, you sleep to someone different. You sleep with men, I sleep with women. Hey, you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican. There was none of that. How much you've changed. Even your politicians have changed. Do you all remember what Congress did that night? Anyone remember what Congress did the night 9/11?
Went out and sang.
Yes, ma'am.
They did what?
Went down and sang. God bless America. You all became patriotic again. It became cool.
And a Christian nation again.
It became cool to wave the flag. All of a sudden it became, hey, we got to go to Walmart to put a flag on our porch. All of a sudden, what was it, 18 years later? It's not cool anymore.
In Houston, after the Hurricane Harvey happened, we had that short experience where the social classes fell away, the color, the skin color, your whatever, it all fell away briefly. And we talked about Houston Strong and everybody getting together, and it's pretty much gone again.
Yeah. Sadly, you need a disaster to bring you together. Hopefully someone can tap into it in a good way where you don't. Since you brought up Houston, if I may share a story of American people been, I'm not pushing, if you need me to shut up, just tell me it all. You can kick me out. But
when I stand up.
Okay, whenever it starts rolling through the doors. I'll take that. I might be something to take that in. Story from Houston from a buddy of mine, and there's two amazing things about this story. One was I got to talk to this guy, and he's a friend of mine. Guy doesn't come from money, doesn't have any money. Show you how poor this guy was at the time of the hurricane. He hadn't got light or heat in his house for like 3 months. Hadn't got electricity. What did he do? There was times where he told me privately he couldn't feed himself, but he fed his son. That's how poor he was. Hurricane. He couldn't eat, but he fed his son. That's how poor this guy was. Hurricane Harvey hits, what does that guy do? You could say charity starts at home, I need to look after me and my family. He put the last $30 or $40 he had into oil, into gas, into 2 drums, and filled his truck and went down and volunteered. That's a great story. Second story of why that story is amazing. To this day, he won't let me tell people who it is. He will not, he said, if you tell people who I am, I will not be your friend anymore. Why? Because he wanted to do good things, but he was humble enough to know, I don't need the credit. All my problems, they're insignificant. Hey, I might be poor, I might not have electricity, and I might not be able to have food, but you know what? Compared to those poor people in Houston, my life's a peach. He was humble. He was a servant. So that is who you are, and you always have been that people. It's got to the point, sadly, where it takes a disaster to come down together, but you still have it in you. You just need to do it. Because here's the truth. Why get so divisive over politics? If you share any of my views, here's why I don't talk politics. If you share any of my views of the Constitution, both states violate it on a daily basis. Again, if you vote or sign this bill into law, this budget, you violate Article 1, Section 8. There is no one that can say, yeah, they're constitutionalists. They believe in it. They may believe in some elements of it, and some people are better than others. But from a founding point of view, don't know. I look at the politicians and go, hey, explain to me in 5 minutes why America is factually an exceptional nation. It all boiled down to materialism, it boiled down to we're just Americans, we're just better. You're not. If you're not great because you're Americans. You're blessed with a great country, with brilliant natural resources, with great climate, with great people, with great family. You don't have those ideals, you're not exceptional. You may be like another nation, you might have a prosperous future, you may be comfortable, you won't be exceptional. Why are you exceptional? Those beliefs. And that's what helped change the world.
One last question.
Okay?
You notice how I emphasize the last.
Okay, so just for clarification, is it my last where it's like the last point?
No, it's the last question, your last answer.
And then,
everybody's going to want to talk to you. But you found us, we found you now.
Yeah.
And you've been saying the same things, the very reason we get together like this.
Awesome.
I mean, what you're saying is exactly what our goals are.
Okay.
Now, what can we do to help you spread your word? Because even though, you know, we're above the cut of the average age in this room here, but there's a lot of people that are very active in different civic groups and all that kind of thing. What can we do to help you spread your word?
Okay, so first thing I'll ask is for some people who it's active, if you're religious, pray for me, that the opportunity's open. Second thing I would say is if you like what I say and you happen to know of another group, I can't go into major details, but I've been trying to get here legally for 15 years and trying to do different things. I'm at a point where I have 3 options. Two of them I won't do. One is go to the border illegally. I won't do that. I actually love and respect your nation. If I may go back to principles and rights, which no one ever talks about anymore, I as an Irishman do not have a right to enter America. Wednesday when I flew over into this nation, I came under certain agreements. I don't work, and I have 90 days to leave. If I violate them, I have signed a contract with your government by verbalization and through going through your customs that I have the right to be deported and not allowed entry into your country for 10 years. And also for the rest of my life, will be asked the question, you're always asked, have you ever been detained or deported or had any visa issues? I would have to say yes to that and then be interviewed. And then it's up to the discretion of the person if they think I'm a threat. That's not an option. 2, I can marry someone. This might shock you, a damn sexy, fine looking man like me, mop of hair, and you know, I'm skinny, I'm like, you know, I know what everyone's thinking, like, God, he looks like Bruce Willis, he's so sexy. The women aren't queuing up, so that ain't happening. But on a moral point of view, I'd never marry. You can actually marry someone for a visa, I've been told. It's like $10,000. But I wouldn't go through that, or I wouldn't do that. I'm a Christian, I believe you marry for love, and I'm an old romantic, I'm an old soul of heart. But the third one is, which I've been exploring and I'm going to do, I said earlier this year, this will be the year I live in America, is a volunteer visa. So my life has changed a lot over since last June. So prior to last June, I hadn't got a full-time job in 7 years. I worked on contract. Some weeks were 50 hours a week, some weeks were 2, some weeks were 0. I lived off an average of about $300 a month. Put food on the table, it was really hard. Of all the things I can say I am awesome at in this world, living poor, there are very few people better. I've got that down, trust me, I had to. But because I've got a full-time job since last June, I now for the first time in my adult life not owe anybody any money. So I'm saving all my money since I did that at Christmas. I'm now saving my money. I'm going to get a volunteer visa. I can't give you the details, but I'm going to be volunteering, going around doing talking, but also volunteering with disasters and different things and sharing your history with as many people as I can. So if you happen to know a group and go, hey, there's this Irish guy we haven't talked, he's all right, give him a try. Give him my email address.
When do you go back?
There's no way I can fit anyone in this trip.
No, that's what's okay.
No, I have not got. The first free minute I have is Saturday, and I'm meeting up with some people. So I literally am going all over the place. Next week's crazy. But if I'm back, I'm 99% sure I'm definitely back in June for 2 weeks for an event. But I'll be back going forward even more. So if there's someone you want, do that. And then the other thing is, from a personal point of view, potentially help me get bigger, is my show. Check out my show, share it. You know, hey, there's this show. It's free. Like, it's not, hey, you're giving me money. share it, and that's the best place.
When you're coming back in June, is it in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Definitely in Texas. I can tell you I'm definitely in Dallas. But there's a purpose for the trip, so I won't have a whole lot of free time, but I definitely will. Sorry, that lady has her hand.
I want to know where you plan on moving to when you do come back to the U.S.
There's only one state I ever want to live in.
Texas.
That's all, baby. I'll tell you why you say one share, one story. You know why you're the greatest state in the world?
Oh
In
yeah, I know
America?
why. Oh
No,
yeah,
but
I
I'll
know.
tell you one
No,
thing.
you can have, as long as it's a Texas story.
Okay. It is a Texas story. So I've been blessed with many opportunities to speak in different states and different opportunities. And you know, a lot of them are fairly conservative or religious and stuff, and usually there's prayers at the start of the meeting, and then there's the Pledge of Allegiance, and you say a few announcements, and then usually it's me, and then there's a Q&A. Texas is the only state that does this. And it freaked me out the first time I did it. So we went to this meeting, right?
Texas Pledge.
No, I know
Prayer.
the Texas Pledge. I got that one. That's easy. I've expected that. I've expected nothing less in Texas. But this is one of the first times I was in speech in Texas, and like you're standing up and they had the meetings, and they had a prayer, they had a pastor. Black pastor gave one of the most great prayers ever. Standing there, very religious, and I'm always trying to get into a zone when I'm speaking, so I'm kind of just going, God, just give me whatever I need to say to these people. Just give it to me, and this might shock you. Before a speech, I'm actually very quiet. I'm trying to get into the zone. So I'm standing there, and this pastor gives this wonderful preach, and it's like, yeah. It's one of those prayers, you know, you want to, amen! You know, you're ready to go. And then all of a sudden, and then we stay standing, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm standing there, and I put my hand over my heart. I'm not American, but I do pledge, and I do it. And then all of a sudden, we get to the end. Texas is the only state that does this. The end of the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah! I'm like, what the hell? I thought we're all been invaded. And everywhere, that solely alone is why you're a great state. So, and it's awesome. I'm now ready for it. The first time I was like, what the hell? Where are we to go? So, and it's not a yee-haw, it was a yee-haw! So, that's why. Sorry?
It must have been in College Station or something.
Where was it? Where was it?
Fort Worth.
I think it was in Fort Worth, yeah. It was incredible. So, but I'm hanging around, I'm not going anywhere, so if you have any questions or want to talk.
I just had one thought here, how to get you here. We'll just have Dan swear that you are his illegitimate son. and we'll just bring you in under the extended family rules they have.
Well, actually,
Chain migration.
Chain migration.
let's do that.